hello, and welcome. I'm Sheila Belgobin, known as the Dream Decipherer, and this is Dream Your Life, Live Your Dream Live, where we talk about all things dreams. Now, it's a bit windy here today. The rain clouds are moving in, but so I hope you can hear me. But in honor of International Women's Week, I decided that I would look at dreams and intuition in women. Now, before I start this presentation, I just want to say that women are not the sole persons on the planet that are capable of intuition. Men have intuition as well, and I can attest to that fact. Half of my family was in the military or law enforcement and do credit their gut, as they would say, as a man would say, or, trusting that sudden insight for saving their lives or saving the lives of others. So it's not solely the purview of women to be intuitive. But intuition is well known for providing people with insight or solutions during altered states of consciousness, such as during the dream state or during meditation. And as I said, in the West, it's not seen as a particularly masculine trait because it's fuzzy logic, and fuzzy logic just doesn't cut it for the male brain, and we'll get to that in a minute. Now, on the physiological level, women are better designed for listening to and receiving intuitive messages. Now, researchers found that while both sexes have the capacity for intuition, women's intuition is stronger because the female brain is actually wired for it. So we're born to it because we're made that way. So, for example, in one study, MRI scans were used to compare male and female brain connectivity and discovered that the typical male brain is neurologically wired to be more logical, to be aware of spatial relationships, things like that, and therefore being more effective at linking what they see with what they do, so linking perception to action. The female brain is wired quite differently, and actually there's a lot more neural connections, and it's more efficient. And the reason for that, there's more coherence between the left and right hemispheres because the corpus callosum, the material that links the two halves of the brain, like a net or band, has a lot more nerve endings that joining the two halves of the brain. So what that means on a practical level is that when women perceive things, they see it in a more holistic way, I guess is the best way to put it. They have more big picture thinking, whereas men's are more spatially challenged. Are more spatially aware. Which is why they're better at parking cars, and women are better at multitasking. We're just hardwired differently. It's also probably why spy masters over the years and centuries have used women as spies, because they're much more socially aware. They notice who's sleeping with who just by observing what's going on in a room at a party, for example. So, the CIA or any of the other spy agencies around the world have loved women spies because of that. They gather more information from their intuitive sense. I think of people like Mata Hari or Josephine Baker spying for the French during World War II, and many others from all around the world. So, yeah, women are just more aware because of this more integrated integration between the left and right hemispheres of the brain. But even if you look over the centuries, and there has been a belief that we get guidance from our higher selves or soul or from God during dreams or in deep meditation. There have been many instances of reports of people receiving higher guidance during the dream state, and including in modern times, I think even the 1920s, I believe, 1930s, a gentleman that was called the Sleeping Prophet, who would, and you can actually look up the book, The Sleeping Prophet, to find out more, who received all kinds of revelations about different things during these dream states that he would go into. So it's good to stop here for a moment and remember that the goal of dream work and intuition, or developing our intuition, is the same as when we meditate, which is to connect with our higher selves and find the spark of the divine within us. So when we listen to that inner voice and combine that with meditation, the information presented to us in dreams can help us find answers to questions that we may have, to solutions to issues that we're facing, help us to clarify a decision, making a choice about something, and to heal ourselves. I mean, I've had clients who may have been in therapy for decades and saw very little shift in their lives, but once we sat down and started looking at their dreams, I mean, it was almost scary to watch how people would shift and completely turn everything on its head and start to heal. So we have the capacity to heal ourselves if we listen. So to go back to intuition, whether we're male or female, one reason why we get higher guidance in the dream state is because our ego is shut off temporarily while we're sleeping, the part of us that says I. So, instead of it counting, judging, considering, planning, plotting, scheming, and responding to things, that's parked during our sleep, particularly during the dream state. So it allows our unconscious mind to float information up to a more conscious level so that we can look at it. I mean, I always say that dreams are a call to action, to get us to be aware of something and then to effect a change of some kind. Now, during these quieter moments when our conscious mind is asleep, it's parked, you have to remember that the unconscious mind is likened to a vast ocean. It knows all about our dreams, our hopes, our fears, and what we need to live our best life. Our conscious mind is just a teeny little cork floating on that vast ocean of the unconscious. So even whether we're awake or asleep, our unconscious mind is working. It's working. It's taking in information. I mean, it could be, I'm talking to you, but my unconscious is clocking the birds that are flying around out there, and some of them singing that there are people who are laying on the other side of the pool here. All of that information is being taken in and then sorted through during the night. And if there's something that is of importance that needs to be looked at by the conscious mind, it comes up. It comes floating up in the form of a dream or a sudden insight into something. So when we're asleep, basically the left brain is actually asleep, the part of us that says I, that counts things, that evaluates things, etc. And the right side of the brain, which speaks in pictures, it's the most primitive part of our brain, the reptilian brain, which was the part that formed first in human beings. And it's concerned with survival, emotions and survival. The feeling that, oh, that snake, I see that snake and it makes me frightened because I know it can kill me. So it's that survival level of awareness, and that's where dreams come from, because it's rich in imagery. So doing things like daydreaming or driving on a long stretch of road or listening to music or meditation, focused imagery, or guided imagery can all get us into that quieter state where the conscious mind is shut off temporarily, and the wider part of our consciousness, the unconscious mind, can bring up information for us. Now, intuitive messages can come to us in various ways. Some can come in dreams. Sometimes it can come in body sensations. You know, you hear people say, I feel it in my gut, or know it in my waters, like some old people would say. Or just know. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do what I do if I wasn't able to call upon my intuitive sense. It's an inborn, very strong sense for me. And I just know. And I don't know how I know, but I know. And I've just learned to listen to that, because when I don't, I get in trouble. But there's a neural, particularly for women, there's a neurological integration and physical integration where our feelings and our intuition are somehow linked very strongly. So body sensations can tell us a lot, just in terms of that sixth sense. So this sixth sense, because of the corpus callosum that connects the two hemispheres of the brain, is so dense, it means that the neurological pathways are not localized. We seem to be able to have like antennas almost that pick up information from the wider surroundings. So it's not just what's in our local space, but within the wider space. Now there's indirect and direct to intuition, and it's slightly different, and I'll have a quick look at that. Now, direct intuition is what it says. It's literal. You know exactly what your intuition is telling you. If you hear something in your head, or you get the sensation where you're being told, slow down, you need to slow down. That's like direct guidance. You could call it a spirit guide, if you will, or your higher self, but something in you just says, put the brakes on for a minute. Now, indirect intuition is more symbolic. If we're to use the same example, I mean, instead of having, say, a voice in your head, sort of, or something similar, saying, slow down, take it easy. In indirect intuition, it may turn out to be that there's somebody running on a treadmill, and the treadmill's going faster and faster and faster until the person almost falls off. And it would, take an extra step to be able to understand what does that treadmill represent in the person's life, and how is that pertinent to their waking life, and make that connection. But, there's I always say that to be able to understand one's dreams, one needs to learn to listen to ourselves, to believe that we have the wisdom to live our life in the best way possible. And also to not dismiss the messages that they get, even if they seem a bit crazy and off the wall. Remember, dreams work in metaphors, as if. So, it doesn't say you jumping off a cliff doesn't mean you're literally going to be jumping off a cliff, or, something of the sort. But maybe you're doing something that makes you feel as if you're jumping off a cliff, something new, something different perhaps. So you have to dig deeper. And digging deeper means you have to know yourself better. So, and the only way you can crack the code of your dreams is to be able to note your dreams regularly and notice patterns and learn what different symbols mean for you. Now, when we start to use our dreams in this way, and combined with our intuition, you start to bridge that gap between your conscious mind and the unconscious mind. And what I find that people who, for whatever spiritual or practice they may have, or if they work with dreams or whatever have you, but if they do something on an energetic level, whether they're healers or not, they have a tendency to dream less. And my take on that is that because there's more integration between the conscious and unconscious mind, and therefore there's less of a need to float information up into the dream state or some other way, because you're already kind of clocking what's going on and coming up from the unconscious mind from the various signals you get while you're awake. So there's you could say that the intuition of women comes not only from a physiological level, but from a deep spiritual level. And it's that combination that probably manifests itself best in dreams. Now, dreams teach us about ourselves. Like, television we see in our sleep, and it's the movie of our life, and we get to be the director of it when we're awake. But the the movie that we see in our sleep highlights, this scene, it's not very good. It needs to be rewritten, whatever that may be. So we get to use that information to improve things that are not working so well for us in life. Now, and the reason why that is, it's important that focusing on getting a good night's sleep and making sure you're practicing good sleep hygiene is important, because it is during the REM stage of sleep that the brain is sifting through information and basically doing garbage detail, removing plaque from the arteries of the brain, which is what causes things like dementia and Alzheimer's. And also consolidating memories. Now, memories are not all stored in one place. It's stored in various places, and I believe memory is also stored in the body, which is why certain injuries and whatnot can take a long time to heal, because you're not addressing the memory that's in the muscle or the tendon or whatever the case may be. So it's listening to all of those signals that, the signals, that information that comes to us in a non-logical way, listening to body sensations, and just trusting ourselves to know that we know, even if we can't explain how we know, is the basis of women's intuition. And again, because that's fuzzy logic, particularly in Western society, it's not considered very valuable, particularly with relation to men. Now, dreams can yield practical insights into things. Like I said, one of the functions of dreams is to frame a situation, a relationship, what's going on in our environment. I mean, all of those things form part of what the unconscious puts together during the REM sleep to present to us and say, here's some information for you. Have a look. It's important to you. Now, we can ignore that at our peril, I would say, or we can just accept that, we have a higher wisdom within us, an inner guru, an inner therapist even, that wants the best for us, and to heed that. And I thought it was a good idea to talk about this during International Women's Week and Month, because women sometimes don't even acknowledge openly that their intuition is what keeps them going, what clues them in, what keeps them in touch with what's going on within there's a small world and within the wider world as well. So there you have it. I hope you got something out of all of that. There's a lot, though there's little studies that have been done in the past, there more are being done around dreaming and intuition and kind of inner knowing and wisdom, particularly as part of more spiritual traditions. So you might want to look around for that, as well as look around for the story of the sleeping prophet. It's quite fascinating. Thanks so much for watching and listening. I hope you enjoy the presentation and it gave you a little bit of something to think about. And happy International Women's Day, week, month to all the ladies out there. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.